Alright, so something I don't normally do on my channel is kind of a vlog, or a chat, I should say. Normally it's videos at the track and me just on the road course. And but I thought it'd be good to talk about the upcoming Corvette ZR1 that is highly anticipated and speculation now. There's a lot of talk that it was going to be mid-engine Corvette. The Z06 was going to be the top of the line, and there's spy photos out there, probably less than a month old, of something that's mid-engine from GM. It's clearly mid-engine, out testing, and so a lot of people thought that was going to be the next Corvette, the C8 Corvette for 2019 or whatever. And so let's see, don't want to run over these people. So basically, that was kind of what the hearsay was. Then, for the last, I don't know, month or so, there's been some pictures and videos being released of some sort of Corvette. It's a C7, not a mid-engine of any kind, and it's been out testing with other cars. I think there's a Hellcat and another Stingray maybe that was with the Z06, but it's clearly a C7 body, and but it's camouflaged the rear bumper, and it's got a huge wing on it, and then the whole front nose, or the front bumper, is not only camouflaged wrapped, but also the thick padding that you would normally see on a prototype car or something that's heavily disguised. And so we've been seeing that kind of surfaced, and some people kind of speculated on the Corvette forums that maybe it was going to be a Z06R, kind of like the GT350 and GT350R, but something with a little bit more aero. But it was yesterday or day before yesterday, there were some videos, people caught them out, I want to say out in Colorado, out in the mountains. There's a good video of them out in like the parking lot. I'll even put the link in the description here. And they catch these Corvettes, and they even got them out driving some. And it's interesting because you see a Corvette, or a convertible version, that has a very small wing, but it's still a couple inches off the deck. And then you have a coupe, or a hardtop, that has a massive wing that looks like the Viper ACR. And just really interesting, because a lot of people thought that maybe there wasn't going to be a ZR1. It was going to be a short run, relatively speaking, C7, and then there would be this mid-engine Corvette of some sort. And so it's kind of exciting, because it looks like there's going to be some new stuff, and it doesn't look like, you know, initially as people thinking it was going to be a Z06R with just more aero and that was it. But you can see through the camouflaged front bumper with the padding. It's a bigger grille. It's almost what LG Motorsports has done with their cooling answer to the Z06 overheating on the track, of having bigger inlets on either side of the grille to let more air in. And I would hypothesize that it would be the next ZR1. Is it going to have more horsepower? Probably. Is it going to be a lot more horsepower? I don't think so. Might be at an even 700. I don't think, there's some people that say, oh well, they got to go way above 700 because they got to beat Dodge, you know, the Hellcat. But you know, why? You don't need to. The Z06 right now is just as fast when it's not overheating as a Hellcat. You know, the GM's target for the Corvette is not a Hellcat. Heck, it's not even a Dodge product anymore since the Viper's gone. So I don't think horsepower is necessarily what you need. It's, in my opinion, cooling and downforce if you want a true track type vehicle. So, anyways, but what makes things very interesting is Taz Junkter, the chief engineer for Corvette, kind of wishy-washy what he says. Initially, they released the Stingray with the Z51 package and the Z06, and people had asked, is there going to be a Grand Sport version, kind of like the C6, that was the body of a Z06, wide body, bigger brakes, bigger tires, bigger wheels, but had the power plant of a base model. And Tadge's response was, no, there's no need for that. There's no room in the Corvette lineup right now because the Z51 is so capable, which it is. That's what I'm in right now, and I track it, and it's a fast car. But then what happens a year after the Z06 is released is now people are road coursing these Z06s, and they're overheating them. And now they're running into all these heating issues. And people are complaining and saying, you know, I want a Z06 body, but I don't want this terrible LT4 setup that's going to overheat. So what do? GM comes out with this Grand Sport, and you know, it's just funny that you have Corvette engineering saying, no, we're not going to go out with the Grand Sport. There's no reason to. And then they come and do it. Well, the reason why I say all this is you have the Z06, which is marketed as the most track-capable Corvette ever. And looking at its hero lap times, it is. It's fast. But what happens when you want to do multiple laps? You do 20-minute, 30-minute stints, and not even necessarily hot weather and 80-degree weather, that it overheats, it pulls timing, and the car is significantly slowed down. And I've seen it firsthand. Every track event I've been to, which has been many, every C7 Z06 that has been present has overheated, except for one, and the one that didn't overheat, it was someone at a novice level driving it, so obviously they weren't wringing the car out. So I think, you know, I think this is the answer. The ZR1 or whatever is being spied on. I think that's the true answer. You know, you had the different levels of Viper, with the ACR being the most extreme and track car. I think this ZR1 or whatever's out there is going to be the Viper ACR version of the Corvette, and it's going to be interesting because I'm curious what the power plant's going to be. GM has licensed and trademarked the LT5 name, so are they going to do something? Are they going to do a hopped up LT1 where it's a naturally aspirated engine but just hopped up with more power, maybe making 500, 530, I don't know. I suspect they're just going to go with the LT4 for a couple of reasons. The first being is that's what's in the Z06 right now, and it's kind of what their premier, and I say they, GM's premier halo engine is. The Cadillac is using it, the Z06 is using it, and the next gen ZL1 that's about to be on the showroom floors and dealerships is going to use it. So I suspect they're just going to put that in this new Corvette, and but I think what they're going to do is, as seen through the spy photos and videos, they're going to increase the cooling capability by having this larger bumper. It looks like it's maybe even doubling its surface area or its inlet volume of air, and I think that's what this LT4 needs. You look at the ZL1, which has been out testing, and it doesn't look like there's been much heating issues, but of course no one owns one yet, so you can't tell for certain. But what's the difference right now between the ZL1 and the Z06 is, look how big the ZL1's grill is. It's massive, massive grill, and it's got like 11 heat exchangers. Now granted, some are for the transmission, differential, and radiator, but it's also got massive oil coolers, and I just think that what they're doing with this new Corvette is kind of what the Camaro ZL1 is right now, and it just makes sense that way. So you're going to have something. Will it have more power? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, the Viper ACR makes marginally more power than the other Vipers, so maybe this new Corvette makes 680 horsepower, and but has all this extra downforce and cooling capabilities. So that's just kind of my hypothesis here. I don't think we're going to see a mid-mount or mid-engine Corvette anytime in the next couple of years. The C7 is still not that old. It came out as a model year 2014. And there's going to be a market for the ZR1. On the forums, people are saying, "Oh, that wing is so ugly. You should be able to get it without the wing." Well, you can get it out without the wing. It's called a Stingray. It's called a Grand Sport. It's called a Z06. You can do any of that without this massive wing. And hell, You can even probably uninstall the wing on this new Corvette. So all these waxer old guys that don't like the wing on the Corvette because it looks too ricey. I mean, yeah, it looks, you have these big aero components, but it's functional. You know, it's only ricey if it doesn't really add to the function of the downforce. And I guarantee you there's been enough computational fluid dynamics studies on the wing and see its flow paths with the aero to see that it's actually generating a sufficient number of downforce. Otherwise, why add it? It's just going to add unnecessary drag to the car. So I think it'll be a cool car. I'm excited for it. I really like the Z06, but what I don't like about it is overheating. That's why I never even considered it when getting this car. And it just so happened that when I got this car, the Grand Sport hadn't been announced yet, and of course the Grand Sport gets announced the week after I purchase my Stingray. But I think the ZR1 potentially is going to be the high horsepower track enthusiast answer, because the Z06 certainly is not. I'm not impressed by it by any stretch of the imagination. It looks badass, it sounds badass, and it's fast for 1 or 2 laps, but almost every auto reviewer or magazine has overheated it. I think it was Motor Trend that overheated it in LA on the highway. They weren't even on the track, and it wasn't like it was 100-degree temperature. So yeah, you hear that? That's the race pads on this car. So freaking loud, it's embarrassing. People look at it like I've got this busted ass Corvette. But anyways, that's my thoughts on it. I'm curious what other people may think. I've heard all the stories about the next Corvette that's going to come out as mid-engine, but I would say all the videos and pictures we're seeing as of late says otherwise. We're going to see some other level of Corvette or trim or something that is going to be out before a mid-engine of any sort. I don't think it's going to be until 2020 or later before we see some sort of mid-engine Vette.